Alright. Man, I didn't realize you get so many mechanical parts at Orchard. This place is actually quite stacked. If you can get decent... And he gets peppers too. This place might be kind of broken for solos. If you can get constant peppers from Orchard, that shit might be broken. Alright, so it pulls hard south. Wow, that kid is... Tom, you are lost, my friend. Tom, give Tom a map. Tom is lost. So again, now think of his mentality at this stage, right? So he's in a good spot where he knows that, like, he puts a couple decent games together here. He's probably going to do well in the tournament. This is where you need to be at after every game in the Cash Cup. You need to have this mentality of a couple good games here, and I'm away and laughing. I'm going to do well. The issue is that, like I said, so many people have one bad game or have one bad moment in the Cash Cup and they let it affect them for the rest of 3 hours. That is, and I've got to be honest, that is such a weak mentality. If you're like that, you're a weak person, and I think less of you for it. Alright. So, Jesus Christ. You remember what I said about congestion? Because people just don't clear congestion in solos because they play super central in EU. We have a version on crack here. I'm gonna have to speed run my way through the whole map, but I'm gonna need the drone later anyway. So, but you see how all these guys are extremely grouped here. Jesus Christ, this is nuts. Just everyone in a bunch of different areas of the map. So. This is a reason why I call it POI clustering. This is a reason why staying out of POIs and solo cash cups is huge as well. I think staying out of them is just the much better play. So if I'm Merijn here, I think probably looking to take that hill or just side of the hill or getting out of Misty in general is the better play, even if it's central, because then at least you can sort of claim or rotate to the side that you need to once it pulls, something like that. But playing into this congestion is so scary, man. All right. So we have, and he pulls, of course he does. So, like, this is what I'm getting about being out of congestion. This is sort of what I'm trying to get at. What I'm trying to get you to understand what I'm saying is, if you are one of these guys here, and you have all of these people around you, making this next rotation is nearly impossible without taking some sort of damage. Okay? So... the reason why I push deadside so hard is because you want to find yourself out of these scenarios. So this is risk mitigation or mitigation. This is risk mitigation in Fortnite. You've got to mitigate the risk of making your rotation as hard as it can be. If you aren't in here, if you've found yourself, so where I would have probably had him go would have been attached to this mountain over here or wrapped around the back of Misty somewhere here like that. I would have had him out of Misty. Even if it pulled over this way, you should find that rotation relatively easy. But the issue is, when you find yourself in here, or over there, sorry, that rotation's really difficult. That's why deadside is so good, because it makes sure it's not even about the rotation that you make currently, it's about the follow-on effect, that snowball effect that we've talked about quite a lot. So that the issue now is that you're going to get literally the entire lobby clustering to that one area there. And you want to be cleared from that. You want to have been able to avoid that. The one positive, I have to say, the one positive about him being in this congested area is that he is high. So it's not like he's low ground where he's going to have to go through the low ground opponents and then the mid ground opponents to make a rotation. At least he's above all of that, and he can probably clear congestion relatively easily, but you still have to clear it. You'd much rather have done it earlier. All I'm saying is, imagine having to rotate out of that. That's all I'm saying. You don't want to be caught up in that. If that went that way, everyone here is dead. Not all of them, but a majority of them. What's up, Magoli? How you doing, bro? Hard beamed on his first bit of rotation. Almost Silverfish. So imagine how that was rotating into that. Rotating with all those people around you is going to be pretty fucking terrible. feel like it's so hard to move even 2 boxes out without having to box up. That's because you're in congestion. If you are scared to move even 2 boxes, you've got too many people around you. You should find another... We'll look back and work out where you could have gone to improve where you are. Finds a nice little refresh there. So one thing that we've really learned about what Merijn does is that he's super aggressive on refreshes if he needs to be. Like, this dude genuinely will 50-50 you if he thinks it's going to help his cause. So again, the way he uses peppers is perfect. He lets zone move ahead of him. As soon as it's sort of like pretty close to him, he'll move off and he'll try and recycle builds as much as he can. Minimal building. Gets a lot of free rotation. As I say that he gets beamed, he gets no free rotation. Go. Solo tapping, makes it into zone, still at 580 build. So one thing I think is really important about late game is that you are cataloging how much you have before the next zone starts. So if he's in zone here, he's got 12 seconds to decide whether or not he's got enough mats to make it through second moving. There's a huge difference between my mentality and Zate's mentality. So Zate's mentality is, do I have the loot that I need to win this game? My mentality is, do I have enough loot to make it through this next moving zone? Now, either of those is fine. One of those is a little bit more aggressive. Mine is a little bit more like break the game up into sections, right? So if he doesn't have enough to get through second moving here, I want him to be aggro on a kill, okay? With 580 builds, he should have enough to get through second moving, which is essentially what's coming up, right? So he doesn't necessarily need to be aggro, but of course, if you get tags on something, if you feel like you've got a free kill, you should not go for it. So second zone absolutely fucking hooks. Still got his pepper popped. And again, that idea of letting zone sort of rotate ahead of him, and then he catches up with his pepper. Minimal builds, relatively free rotation, right? This is why, again, the idea of anything movement altering, not because we're in a movement free meta, anything that alters the state of your movement is so powerful this season. Looks to take height of Indretta. Fine, let's see. Does not get it. Indretta gets it taken off. Again, he's just... But I think another thing that's really important to note is his focuses. He knows at some point he wants to take height. How's he going to go about doing that? He's always looking. He's always focused on it at some point through second moving. Second moving is the best time. We've talked about this before. Second moving is the best zone to take height, and he's really good at constantly looking for that. We've seen that about 4 or 5 games now. That's him trying to catch someone who's got a pepper pot. You can see why they're so powerful. So again, I think it probably would have been better for him to try and look for a refresh a little bit earlier. Holy shit, he's just going to full send it. I can't believe I've just seen that. That's nutty. That's beautiful. That's beautiful play though, right? Holy shit. He just really wanted to win this game. Wasn't going to take no for an answer. He's going to have fighter. Did he get a little bit too aggro there? Somehow gets missed out decent. I think I'm trying to think what he really did wrong there, because I feel like he didn't even do too much wrong. Let me go back and have a look. So he gets the kill on Indretta. That guy comes in for the loop. He just misses his shot, doesn't he? That's all he does. He just misses his shot. And that idea of there's something that Mr. Savage is so good at. This is speaking about Mr. Savage specifically. He is so good at making sure whenever he's trying to take someone out, he's blocked off all his other angles. So it's really difficult to do in late game though. So I can't really blame him. And I don't know how the hell he gets a kill here, but he gets a kill on someone. That's on the kid that he missed a shot on. So he must have turned around and flicked him or something. So I think things to note there, how aggressive he was for height. Constantly looking for it. something that we've seen him do really something that we've seen a couple of people now do really successfully late game, 2 weeks in a row in EU. Xweez last week and now Merijn. So stealthy, sitting up on the top of stealthy is a really nice spot. You get so many, like, look at his angles here. Look at the angles he gets on people rotating into him. Fuck's sake, this is so annoying. These angles that he gets on people rotating into him here are so nice. And this is just all open field that he can basically see, right? As long as no one comes and builds over him, he's got so many nice sight lines in here. Out over the people rotating in. Basically through this entire area here. Super nice. So again, I think if I'm him or if I'm coaching him, I'd prefer him to not be in here. Because getting out of here can be a fucking bitch. But I think for me, if he's chill on his surge, which he definitely is, I probably would have had him take these houses here. If he could have got to here first, any rotation towards east is easy because you can just wrap around the back here. You cut all the lines of sight to anyone inside or this side of the wall. You have to worry about people above you, but if you hug the wall here, you can just do a single line of builds over your head. I feel like if he's in here, if it pulls west, he pulls zone. If it pulls north or east, he just wraps and hugs the side of the wall. I feel like that's the best possible spot for him to be right now. But if he wants to sit in here, I'm just worried that getting out of here can be a real pain in the ass. So if he, again, like if he's in these buildings here with whatever he's refarmed, you can even jump up on top here if you want to, or just like sit up mid ground somewhere here. I feel like that would have been the best spot possible to be. Just cranks cup the 90s, and again, the hot Fortnite is just a whole nother idea of, or a whole nother game where risk mitigation becomes the most important factor of any decision you make. You have to mitigate the risks. And now he's put himself on extremely congested side. Again, he's high, so it's not a huge deal. Like, he's actually up high enough that he should be able to clear the congestion when he wants to. But this is still a really tough ask for him. Alright, reload, we're good. Okay, so he pulls first moving. This is one of those situations. Again, I think it's really, really important to note. This is something I don't think many people talk about at all. I think you should note where deadside is and basically where the axis lies for every half. So if you've got a zone that looked like that, you should note that essentially that entire half is deadside, because if you've got a first move that pulls up here, I think it's really nice to know that you pulled but half the lobby didn't. So if you get a zone that pulls like this, not only do you go, okay, I can move into deadside really easily, but no one pulled first moving. Everyone has to move. So your rotation timing becomes much more influential to how you play it, or becomes much more influential to whether or not you survive, right? Because no one is there initially unless they've set up as late as they could. Another thing that I think is important to note, if everyone pulls, so same situation, if everyone pulls, basically no one has to move initially. So any movement can be made at any time. So taking note of when and where first moving pulls straight away and who has pulled it, I think can be really influential to your timing of the moving of your first rotation. Okay? If you do a bit of research, you'll start to realize, the best timings for certain zones. And now that's getting really in depth. That's getting into stuff that I've learned as, doing so much live coaching at a really high level. So you've just got to start noticing those sorts of things if you want to be at that really high level. Why is it always the refreshes that we get desynced on, bro? So he's got a nice free rotation here. So again, the idea of knowing where deadside is, he should know that basically no one can be there. So now, again, what you should be going into these moving zones thinking is, do I have enough mats to get me through to the next moving zones? If you set up and first moving before second moving pops, you generally have around 15 to 10 seconds. If you don't have enough to get you through second moving, you need to be picking someone to get a refresh on in that 10 to 15 seconds, and you need to be going into it with about 5, 3, 4 seconds to go. So you need to be that quick on making your decisions, right? So what's cool about watching Merijn play is that it's obvious he's so aggressive on it, but when he doesn't need to be aggressive, he's really happy being patient. Drops to play deadside, so he's obviously very aware of deadsiders. He got to what I call axis really easily, so if you've got first moving this way, so first moving closed like that, you've got the majority of players in here. Remember how I said I prefer him to have got to at least the center line? If you get to the center line here, I call the axis here or here, and from here you can rotate into deadside of first moving or second moving. Okay, sorry, not first moving. You can. Sorry, that only applies to second and then third moving. So he's playing deadside here. This is free as for him. He probably doesn't even have to build. He can just run. Yeah, there you go. Just run. Make really nice savings. But again, that vertical awareness is really important. You can't break through that wall. So clearing that layer immediately is nice. And I'm glad to see that he pre-planned for that. It looked like he was aware of it straight away. Again, that shows that high level of awareness. This kid coming through. He doesn't look for the pump shot. I was actually assuming that he would go for that. He only has 300 mats left, and I'd think for him he would have preferred to take that refresh there when he felt like he needed it. Drops there. He's playing off someone else's line. Playing hard edge. Again, this is a recurring theme of players who we see that are really top tier late game players. Playing hard edge, looking to play deadside when they can. Recycle when they don't need to. Use lots of builds. You know, they can play sort of like more of a deadside sort of area. Pulls back. Again, the vertical awareness there is huge. Again, he realizes, fuck, I've got to get up and over this wall here. If I don't get up, I'm fucked. So he gets up early. He doesn't have a huge amount of mats left, so he's got to be aggro on something here. I think he's going to get in on this kid. Fantastic refresh. But again, I think he needs to get up 2 or 3 more layers here. Yeah, so again, I think the vertical awareness is really good there, but I think he could have got up a bit more quickly. Oh man, squeezes in. So vertical awareness could have been a little bit better, but also if he was more aware of getting up earlier there, he wouldn't have got that refresh and he wouldn't be in this spot here anyway. So it's like a, you know, what did he preferred to look for that refresh more than he did for the vertical awareness, which I totally understand. Think on that kid. Doesn't get the finish. Oh, that's just really, Jesus Christ, that crosshair placement's insane, bro. Holy shit. He gets that kill in Storm, gives him the siphon to make that shot really easy. Fucking hell. He doesn't win this. He does end up coming second. But holy shit. That's a lovely sequence. Gets the Storm kill. And he does lose this, so I won't bother. Yeah, the respawn. And he just doesn't quite hit him hard enough. I'm showing him a pro. Oh my god, fuck up, Jack. Jesus Christ. So again, this is something you tend to see only in Europe. I'm going to stress it one last time. These big groupings around central areas do tend to happen mainly on Europe. You very rarely see something like this in you very rarely see something like this on NA East because more people tend to play edges and play to deadside. Same with OCE, same with basically every other region. You very rarely see so many people hooking it to center at a high level. A lot of other people try to play edge or play like late rotation, something like that. These guys hook it to center as soon as it pops. Pulls center third, doesn't have to move. Got really good mats. 109, so he's not perfect, so I'd like to see what he doesn't have. There will also be Surge, so this is a really good game to watch, because this is going to be a fucking stacker. He'll need a refresh later. This is going to be a good one to watch. Alright. Let's get through all this, because, I mean, like, he obviously set himself up into a really good spot, and then rotated into it. So, if we look at the drone here, so obviously the majority of people grouped into colossal crops there, and then we've got basically the backside here. Basically, with the way this zone pulled, I'm looking at down the bottom here. There would have been a huge recalibration effort on second to third. So second would have been top right of the map. So if we basically draw a map, second pulled top right, and then third pulled all the way back down here with Spire basically down here, meaning essentially the majority of the players, because like I said, everyone forces central in Europe, because everyone forces central in second, you end up with these big clusters in third. So another, oh my god, this is going to be fucked. We're going to have literally the entire lobby sitting. He needs to keep on moving in. This is one of those situations where I would 100% say you should not stop here. He's got to keep moving. And I understand he ends up getting second in this match. But if he stays here, fuck, unless he's really worried about a surge, he's going to have literally the entire lobby rotate into him here. So this is him under me here. Look at all of these people. The fuck? Look at all of these people here. If you look on the map here, we have to rotate into his direction. I think if I'm him here, I would have tried to push in just a little bit further. Fuck, I've lost him now. Fucking lost it. Look at me, navigating the replay mode like a professional. Alright, let me skip through a lot of this here. So he doesn't have much wood. That's what he's used a lot of. But, oh man, I would have preferred him to move in. Even if he goes central here. So coming back to the idea of if he pushed central of 4th. And he, like, set up... Say he, like, took this, bro. At least he clears all of that. What I'm trying to say is don't get him... If he moves out of there, he gets himself out of this. If he comes and farms out this instead... I feel like he's in such a much, like, way better spot. Because even if it pulls back, that's not a fire rotation. He makes that easy. But if it pulls back this way, he's mitigated the worst case scenario. He isn't... If half-half pulls to here, he gets there first and he's fine. If he doesn't pull on here, that rotation to the next half-half becomes so tough. It's almost imperative that he pulls half-half here, or that it's at least close to him. So that's 4x. So again, we're about to see him get a refresh, and this is something that's been a constant throughout his entire tournament. So again, he pulls half-half here. If he doesn't pull half-half here, I'm not convinced this game is an easy one for him. Right, I keep on cutting myself off and forgetting what I'm talking about. So essentially, one thing that we've seen come across all of his games is that if he wants to be aggro on a refresh, he will be extremely aggro on a half-half refresh. He's not worried about getting in and finding that kill. He's confident in his abilities. Which he should be. He's an insane solo player. He's got lots of spear mats here that he's going to pick up and remake with. So he pushes himself out. So this is what I'd like to see him doing first moving, where he sort of pushed himself out into the dead space, and this time he's actually done it in half-half. So if we look down here, look, he's sort of given himself a bit of space to work with, right? He's not sitting here clustered with everyone else. Okay, apparently I'm back on gameplay. So he's given himself a little bit of space. I like that. So I think I'd like to see him do that in first moving. So again, this is where I'm saying, this is what I was getting about last game, okay? So knowing when you've pulled and when you haven't pulled is obviously really important, because you got to look at the map and work that out. But knowing what the rest of the lobby has to do as well is really, really useful to work out your timings of when to rotate. So in this situation, you haven't pulled, but half the lobby has. So you can have half the lobby, essentially these guys over here, which are these guys on the map, they've all pulled first moving. You've got to be careful of them. They're going to be looking for you. They can see that a majority of you guys haven't pulled, and they might be getting set up, but after they've got set up, they're going to be looking for kills. They're going to be looking for tags. You don't want to get caught up for that. So This is a situation where maybe I'd be looking around to see if anyone else is moving ahead of me before I start my movement to first moving, okay? So rather than going instantly, straight away, I'll be looking around, seeing if anyone wants to make something that I can recycle, and then go after that. If he went immediately and worked out for him, great. But again, I think this is all about thinking about worst case scenario and learning how to mitigate it. So he's recycling here, of course. So that right there, Gnome, how Gnome took a bunch of damage there, that's what I'm trying to say. That's what you don't want to find yourself, or Zach there. That's a situation you don't want to find yourself in, where you're moving into dead space, you're the first person to move into dead space, and you are reliant on no one shooting you, but these guys are already set up. You're not moving into dead space that no one can see you in. It's not a situation where essentially no one's pulled. It's not like you're going to be the first there and you can be safe about it. These guys, in a situation like this, they can all see you. They're all set up and they're all ready to go. If you wrap around to here, which is essentially what these guys are doing, they can see you do that. They can get beams on you. So what you don't want to find yourself in is a situation like how we just saw that kid, Zach, or whatever his name was, find himself in. So you still want to be careful. And again, it comes down to knowing where the majority of the players are, learning those, you know, okay, I might not have pulled first moving, but those guys did. I've got to be careful about my timing here. That sort of stuff. Very nuanced, but I think it's really important, particularly in these no movement metas. You got to start working out, like, you know, player distributions and why they happen. That stuff is really important in no movement metas. With a movement meta, you can kind of use movement to clear yourself out of it. With a no movement meta, you've got to use your brain to clear yourself out of it. So you've got to start learning those situations. So again, consider these situations before you get into them. First moving's about to finish here. Do I have enough to get through the next? He's forgetting he's got a harpoon, eh? He didn't even need that refresh, bro. He just forgot he had a harpoon just then. Really lovely layering. Cuts up when he needs to. First focus is getting back ahead. Really, really nice movement from him there. Gets ahead and then shoots back. Obviously, that's how you want to be doing it. And Alex absolutely shatters it. But really good focuses. I think I'd be getting ahead now. I wouldn't be popping this big pot just yet. You can pop this when you get in. What I don't want is for you to get caught behind zone here. Really nice focus. Full focus getting ahead. Drops a couple layers. Really, again, really impressive layering. We saw he was a little bit too high immediately. Very dynamic between layers. Really happy to change quickly. That's really important. And again, in a no movement winner, you want to make sure that you don't have to rely on movement to clear layers. Your layering has to be really, really good. So what we're seeing more and more is that the people who are good at getting refreshes are the ones that are constantly doing well in no movement verta solos. Because, you can't just rely on movement to get you out of a no refresh scenario. You've got to be able to get that consistently. Uses up all of his builds to get himself ahead of zone, and then I'm guessing he's looking to. He's got himself through to a really good finish here, but it's just about finding that reliable finish here at the end. That reliable refresh that he's been finding all day. Top 5 and these final zones really do come down to that last refresh. It's like that idea that I talked about in the Savage video about the snowball. Once you get 1 kill in like a top 5 zone 9 scenario, it leads to 2, it leads to 3, because you get the mats in the siphon, and you get more mats in the siphon, you get more mats in the siphon, you just control more and more space. It builds into like this big base that you've built. So like this big snowball effect. Takes down Andalex. Andalex clears out those last 2 for him, which is really nice. And he doesn't end up getting the win here, but he did all of the hard work to get through to this stage. So really impressive, man. I think my opinion, not that I had a poor opinion of him before now, but I maybe thought he was a bit of a placement warrior. He is absolutely not a placement warrior. This was such an impressive fucking session from him, man. So impressive. He got his refreshes when he needed to. Just, yeah, really, really impressive.